still a little bit of the sinus infection here, Joe.
It's catching up to you?
It's kind of choppy, like I'm trying to be energetic. I feel great.
You sound great. You sound good.
I can't breathe. I legitimately can't breathe. But we are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am one of your co-hosts, Blake Ruffino. Joining me to my left is Joe De Leon. Is this Italiana?
It's Italian. I thought we've had this discussion. I'm not French. I will always emphasize I am not French. That's important.
You got to be careful, Joe. You know what I mean? You got to be careful because in Louisiana, you don't know if they're French,
right.
Italiana, you never really know. But the two Italians are back, baby. Week 4 of the SEC is upon us. So we do have a big show today, Joe, in store for us. A lot of big games this week. A&M versus Arkansas. You got Tennessee and Florida. And obviously to start off the show, we'll recap last week. How about them Tigers? All right, maybe I'm a little biased. I talk about it all week. I'm gonna let you talk about the Tigers, and you better give Brian Kelly his due. Damn it!
I regrettably, I will. I reluctantly will.
Okay. It's like as Birdman once said, put some respect on his name. You know what I mean? Do you think that Birdman just walks around just doing bird sounds all day?
I would hope so. I mean, it kind of comes with the territory.
Right.
It's a mislabeling if you're not doing that.
I feel the same exact way. I feel like if my nickname was Birdman and the entire world knew me as Birdman, I'd be like, Birdman, I fly in any weather. You know what I mean? Like
the other thing that comes in with that too is like he already looks like he's crazy with all the tattoos. So it's like you're wasting an opportunity to be even crazier. No one's gonna come up to you and be like, hey, why is this tall guy making bird noises? It's like, oh, that guy's got tattoos. He looks a little crazy. And he sounds crazy too.
Very true. Very true. All right, guys, we do got a lot to get into today. Me and Joe will do a week 3 recap and a week 4 preview. Joe Yancey is going to be joining us at 9:30. Jenna Duddleton will be joining us at 9:45. PB&J, Joe. Let me ask you this question. Well, let me get through this and we'll go back to Jenna.
Okay.
Tye Richardson, my good buddy Tye Richardson, will be joining us at 10 a.m. from Dallas, live in Dallas.
Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And former Florida defensive tackle Dominique Easley is joining us at 10:15. So, Joe, we have a huge onslaught today of guests. But I got to get to Jenna first. There is nothing in this world as a poor college student that I ate more than peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I don't know about you. That was my go-to. Since she's going to do us a PB&J drink today, like I'm probably going to be drunk before 5 p.m. It's like 95% accurate that I'm going to be at least tipsy as all hell. I don't know. What was your go-to food in college that you would snack on when that check was about to be over with at the end of the month?
Well, it was less about like me doing it because it was cheap. But more so when I was a freshman and I was only like 190 pounds, I was like skinny fat and I was chubby, a little chubby long snapper, and I needed to add weight. So what I would do after lift is I would make 2 of them and I would in the dining hall and I would eat one and then I would eat one before I went to bed. I got so fat, man, from eating those. I look back at it now with everything I know about nutrition. That wasn't doing a damn thing for me, but putting fat on my ass. That was all I was doing every single week.
Well, let me tell you,
kind of worked.
So guilty pleasure. So this is weird about my body, at least for me. I can gain weight quick and I can lose weight quick. Okay, like
yeah, same.
So about 3 to 4 weeks before camp would start. Okay, I came up with this stupid plan that I would, as a center, I would show up about 3:30. Okay, because I knew by the end of camp, I was going to be 295. Okay, like nothing. I look, because I sweat profusely. Like Joe, my house or my studio is 68 degrees. Okay,
yeah,
I'm sweating my ass off.
Oh,
okay?
I bet.
So, long story short, I would eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to get to the 330, 320 mark because I know I'm going to lose the weight. Okay. So we had an incoming freshman that came in, and I told him my philosophy is like, look, bud, you're going to lose a lot of weight. You're just because even then, Joe, you would probably remember this back in 2008. You still had some form of two-a-days during camp, right? Like that's before like. So look, brother, you're gonna lose serious weight out there. So he started doing it. Joe, let me ask you this question before we get started. What do you put on your peanut butter and jelly first? Do you put the peanut butter or do you put the jelly?
So, okay, I need a little more context here. So when you're talking about what I put on first, do you actually like layer it, like do one on one piece of bread and then put the next ingredient on top of the first ingredient? Or do you do the two pieces of bread and then stick them together? Because that's what I do.
Well, I usually put peanut butter and then jelly on top of it, okay, kind of psychopathically. But what I've learned to do is I mix it. I mix it in a bowl.
And
then put it on there. That's fat boy tradition. But let me tell you what so what would you do? I mean, you put it on both sides of bread. I used to do that.
I used to layer the hell out of it. And I used to do mostly peanut butter. I don't know. Again, that was my backward strategy of putting on weight and getting really fat was layer up with peanut butter, put a little bit of jelly on because I was worried about the sugar, which again, so convoluted, that logic. And then I would slap them together. Sometimes if you're trying to really add some weight, bananas, throw some bananas in there.
I would do peanut butter and bananas.
Yeah.
I would do peanut butter and bananas. This psychopath, my roommate, would put jelly on both sides and then put peanut butter.
Oh, that's too much jelly. That's way too much jelly.
Too much jelly. I called him a psychopath. I called him whatever.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer. I called him Dahmer for like all of camp until he made like a massive play against, I think, Mississippi State, and so I stopped calling him that because he's probably really is psychopathic. I was like, you know what? I'm not.
Don't want to get on his bad side.
Right. Don't want to get on his bad side. He's the guy from Billy Madison that when, you're in trouble and you're like, I'm glad I called that guy.
Was he an offensive lineman?
He started off on the D line, but they had to move him to O line because he was too white and unathletic.
Those dudes are the craziest. I have firmly believed that the guys that play defense and then move to offensive line are always the craziest because most offensive linemen have like that protective trait. The guys who switch from D to O just want to kill people. Like that's usually the progression there.
You can't have that mentality as an offensive lineman.
No.
You can't have that mentality. They want to know, somebody asked earlier, what time is Joe's pinky chugging segment? 9:45.
I don't have the Howard University mug again, so I'm not going to be doing the pinky chug.
Look, you gotta just live it up. I mean, the pinky is.
I will live it up. I'm apparently I'm fancier than I thought I was.
Cool. Cool. I mean, look. I mean, you run with. I'm sure you're gonna go hang out with Johnny Depp and his new girlfriend. His lawyer. Later on today. All right. We do got a lot to get into. So, Joe, let's pay these bills very quickly. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Stop. Collaborate and listen. We want this Saturday morning show to blow up. The way that we do that is we need your help. Now, I told our listeners through the week, Joe, that I will send them an AYS shirt if they go 5 days of sharing the show. That means they got to share it this morning. So, everybody stop, collaborate, and listen. Hit the like and share. Share to all of those Facebook groups. If you're listening to us or watching us on the Bleav Podcast Network or AYS, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that great stuff. Struggling this morning. And wherever you listen to the audio podcast as well, rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. Okay, let's do this, Joe. Let's pay these bills. Let's talk about Bet Online. When we return, we'll do a Week 3 recap, Week 4 preview, and then get this thing rolling. Let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag and our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons, gmvarnoandsons.com. We return in 1 minute. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code Bleav50, that's Bleav50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varnado & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varnado & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. All right, we're back. Or as Texas would say, we're back.
That's my favorite drop, by the way. The best drop that you have.
The best drop that I have is the Sam Ellinger, we're back.
Well, actually, I haven't heard enough of your drops, but that one gets me juiced up. That one's hilarious.
This is our breaking news segment. Zach, hit it.
That's pretty good. You've played that one before. I forgot about that one. That one's pretty good.
This is, bro, what do you mean this player's ass? He's going in the first round. Like,
is that what it is? That the wording on the board? Is it those exact?
No, on the board it says hot take.
Okay.
Hot take.
Okay.
And then we have our NIL deal with LSU's starting middle linebacker Mike Jones Jr. Who?
That one's better than the we're back one. That's way better than the we're back one.
Mike Jones.
I spoke too soon.
Well, so what's funny is Mike Jones made a tackle. So we'll transition into this, and I want your thoughts about this LSU Mid-State game from last week. Mike Jones made a fourth down stop, and the whole stadium, 102,000 people, are screaming, "Who?" I mean, dude, that gives me chills because I know the young man,
Yeah.
That's got to be an amazing feeling. But so let's transition into that. Your former coach at Notre Dame, nana boo boo. All right, Brian. All right, I'm gonna chill.
Yeah. Blake, I will say this: we're past that. We're at week 4. I'm past being disgruntled. I understand the situation well enough now.
Mentions and DMs from Notre Dame fans.
Oh, are they still not? Are they still not?
Dude. One guy said that it looks like that I have I think I told you this last week. One guy said that it looks like my titties point sideways, my areolas.
Well, we could probably guess who those people tune into and why they're upset. And most of them are cretins, the people that tune into that specific Notre Dame pundit. And that's the furthest I'll go with that. I won't say anything too negative.
Okay. But anyway, and all joking aside,
yes,
LSU beats Mississippi State 31-16. Brian Kelly gets his first win in the SEC. I guess, what are your thoughts about that game from last week?
So I called it on the show last week, Blake. I said that, and I said this coming into the season, Will Rogers, Mississippi State, Mike Leach, one of the most overrated teams in the SEC this season. They have been overhyped. I have talked to way too many people, and you read too many articles that have considered Will Rogers to either be a first-round draft prospect or a Heisman sleeper. And we didn't get any of that last week. If you properly position yourself and you have the right defensive game plan, it's not hard to stop this air raid offense. It's not hard. It works. That gimmicky crap works in the Pac-12. It works in the Big Ten. It doesn't work in the SEC. Like, you have smart defensive coordinators. You've got athletes all over the field. When you're playing in the Pac-12, of course, when you're going up against certain defenses that have 3-star or lower defensive backs, like, you're going to exploit certain guys on the field. And that's always the approach with the air raid, is find the weakness, exploit it, throw the ball all over the yard. That's not going to work against LSU that's got athletes from sideline to sideline. I thought that, and I'm not saying that the air raid can't work in the SEC. There's probably ways that it can work, But I have always been saying that Mississippi State has been overrated coming into this year. They have been lauded to be this sleeper, great, grand team that could upset people. I didn't think that they were that good. And defensively, they're average. They've got some nice pieces that we talked about last week. But LSU needed that win. It was an important game for them. And of course, they were going to come out swinging against a team that's been given way more credit than they've been given.
I think what's scary for me to tell everybody else around the SEC is what happens when LSU has a coach who knows what the hell he's doing. The one thing that everybody has to give Brian Kelly credit for is this. The defensive coordinators that he's hired in the past, whether it be – dude, look at Vandy. You know, and look, I get Vandy's going to get crushed today against Alabama, and I understand that. But the over-under in wins for them this season was 3. They're already exceeding expectations in Vandy with Clark Lee.
Yeah.
Duke is 3-0. Okay? Mike Elko, who, yes, went to Texas A&M, but it was also the DC at Notre Dame. Now, Marcus Freeman, okay, it's off to a shaky start, but nevertheless, Marcus Freeman's still a really good defensive coordinator. My point is this. I don't think Brian Kelly gets enough credit for how he knows how to attack other teams' defense or offenses, okay? And they made adjustments in the second half, and the defense, they were just lights out. It honestly reminded me of what LSU used to look like defensively with Tyrann Mathieu and Jamal Adams and those guys. They were flying around to the football. It's interesting for me, Joe. If LSU can figure things out offensively, I think they could be the second or third team in the West. Like, I fully believe that. And people will say that I'm biased there, but who's going to overtake LSU? Not Auburn. Okay, Auburn.
No, definitely not.
So Auburn doesn't look like they're worth anything. You just beat Mississippi State. So now you come to a point where can LSU outscore Texas A&M? Well, let's see what A&M does today against Arkansas, but it certainly feels that way, right?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves with Texas A&M, but like, holy crap, they cannot score points. Like, they very easily can outscore Texas A&M. Defensively, I think is where that matchup becomes a little bit more complicated, and that's going to be a low-scoring game. And if they're fully healthy, that Texas A&M defense is really freaking good, and we saw their capabilities last week. Like, Antonio Johnson going to be a first-round draft pick, and they've got athletes all over that defense. But no, LSU can, I think 9 times out of 10 is going to outscore Texas A&M.
Here's the thing about A&M too. So to finish that point, they're in that mix. Let's see what LSU does. Okay, but outside of Bama, the West feels more open than maybe the East does. I think the East, you're coming down to 2 or 3 teams, and that's just how it's going to be. And we'll see what Tennessee does today. Oh, and we'll get into that. My point is, and let's go to this Texas A&M team. Joe, I got ripped on last week that I thought A&M was going to beat Miami. Okay, I said Miami's a fake. They're a fugazi. Okay, and they proved it. I think that A&M got a little bit more of a bad rap than some people believed, and our sources became true with Max Johnson obviously starting throughout the week. My point is this. Max Johnson's an average college quarterback, okay? But he might even be a little bit above average. Joe, he's got 40 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. The kid can play in 14 starts. I don't know how to feel about this Arkansas game today, but I don't think Texas A&M is as bad as some people believe, even losing to App State. When you watched that game last week, I took away that Miami's not back, and they are who we thought they were. When you saw A&M in Miami last week, what were your thoughts?
Right. The main thing for me, and I think we don't see totally eye to eye on that game last week, where I'm still not in on Texas A&M, and I have low expectations for them today, which I'm sure we're going to talk about later. An average quarterback is what you need to win in college football. Guys that are too up and down is what leads to losses, and that's what Haynes King is. He's too inconsistent, way too inconsistent as a passer. That's what led to their early issues and why they couldn't score at all. But to your point, I think that game was more of a indicator of how bad Miami is and how behind Miami is. I had been saying this the whole week, and I was getting some pushback. I have no faith in Tyler Van Dyke. I think he is similar player to Will Rogers, has been way overhyped. He had a couple statistically really good games against bad defenses, and he played half of a season stepping in for a completely different quarterback than him, and nobody was prepared to defend against him. But you watch him play, the decision-making is not there. The arm is not there. He's got a slightly above average arm. The touch just isn't there. He forces a lot of balls. Like, he is just not on point. And I know that those Miami receivers didn't really help him in the Texas A&M game, and they dropped a lot of passes. You go back and watch that game, there's a lot of plays where they could have picked up a first down or picked up some chunk yards, and he's just completely missing guys. Completely missing guys. I do not have faith in Tyler Van Dyke, and it was starting to show with these weak opponents that they were playing. Didn't matter because they were playing Bethune-Cookman and Southern Miss, but the minute they played a good defense, of course he was going to throw way too many passes. I think he was like 21 for 40 or something stupid like that. And he played like crap because he's not good. And the rest of that roster is bare. There's not that many athletes on that team. It's a team that's going to take time to rebuild. And because the ACC is so weak, they probably could finish with, 9 wins this season. Like, that's very possible. But they're not ready to compete with anyone in the SEC, albeit a weak Texas A&M team.
Well, that defense, though, for A&M, and you got to give credit to, dude, they light people up. And I will tell you this. If your offense is off, meaning like their opponent's off, like if they're playing Alabama and Alabama continues to struggle, listen, you can't mess around with A&M defensively.
No.
Because here's the thing. When they're rotating defensive linemen in, so I think 7 defensive linemen played for A&M last week, Joe. I think of the 7, 4 of them are 5-star athletes. Okay.
It's just silly.
It's insane what they are doing defensively. And I think I don't think Jimbo's a great offensive play caller. For them to win a natty, he's going to have to get rid of offensive play calling duties.
Yes.
Here's the thing with Jimbo, though. Jimbo knows a good defense when he sees it. He knows where to recruit. And I'll give him this. There's going to be a point in time, Joe, that they're going to recruit so well and have the guys there that sometimes when you're running 22 or 24 dive, they're going to execute offensively, right? And let's just see what they do. Now, they got a big game today, so let's look. There weren't a lot of huge games in the SEC last week. We have so much we need to talk about this week, so let's do that, and we'll go along as the day goes on. But let's hit some of these big ones. We'll talk a lot of Florida, Tennessee, but I want to go and keeping with that same theme, Arkansas and Texas A&M. Joe, let me ask you, are you surprised that Texas A&M is a favorite over Arkansas right now, as I am? I got to be honest, I'm blown away that Arkansas is not a favorite because of how bad A&M's looked so far.
It's actually really odd to see, and I think it's the overcorrection by the books that, this isn't Texas, it's played in Jerry World, it's kind of nearby for Texas A&M. Let's give them that little bit of bump of an advantage. I also think a lot of people are unwilling to properly contextualize what happened for Arkansas last week. That's a trap game when they played Missouri State. Playing against their former coach in Bobby Petrino, of course that team's going to rally, and of course that Arkansas is going to show up like they did week 1, thinking that they're going to smack a team, coasting for the beginning of the game, and then doing enough to finish out the game and win the game. I think that's a big factor here. I'm completely shocked, and I think that I put money on Arkansas in this game. I will admit that was one of my bets. I took the money line. It's a crazy bet to not take. What has Texas A&M done to prove that they're a better team than a top 10 Arkansas team? Like, I've seen way more from Arkansas, and they're dealing with injuries. They're not fully healthy. Like, let's remember that. Rocket Sanders, KJ Jefferson right now look fantastic when they're in rhythm. So, like, I'm like you're talking about here, shocked that Texas A&M's favored.
I said this all offseason, and he's making me look like a damn genius. Outside of quarterback, Drew Sanders was the biggest portal addition to any team in the country. I fully believe that. Joe, he is all over the place. He is playing himself into a first-round pick, okay? The dude can rush the pass. He's a longer pause, but he's a longer, okay, Micah Parsons. They let him rush the passer. He plays middle backer. He's all over the place. I expect him to have a huge game today because A&M's offense makes the linebackers dictate what they need to do. If your team's linebackers usually plays well, you usually win. Okay, and why Alabama lost against A&M a season ago is because what's number 10's name from Bama? Why is it slipping my name? Toto.
Henry Toto, yeah.
Toto played like absolute dog manure, okay, in that game, and then they lost. I think that Drew Sanders is my key to victory for Arkansas, okay, because I think that A&M's going to have to find a way to run the football to get any kind of relevancy and points in this game. I'm staying away from that one on my betting line.
Really?
Yeah, because – let me tell you something, man. I don't trust Arkansas either. Okay, I don't think that they're explosive enough offensively. I got to be honest. I rewatched that game last week in the Cincinnati game. I think that they're way too predictable. Okay, my thing would be this: can Arkansas score? Now I know that A&M can't score. Can Arkansas? Because I think that this is the biggest test for their offensive line. And look, brother, they can't push around Missouri State now. If you're getting blanked in the first half, like if you're struggling in the first half, okay, whatever. We see SEC teams expand and Power 5 teams expand in the second half because of depth. Brother, I didn't see that. Okay, I saw it late, but I worry about this Arkansas team. I do. Now, Tye is probably going to come on here with his cowboy hat and rip me alive for saying that. But it's kind of the truth, okay? I don't trust them right now offensively. Look, either they're going to hit you with an inside zone or they're going to zone read. Stay in your run lanes, and you're going to beat them. And if Missouri State stays more disciplined that second half, that game would have gotten really interesting.
Yeah. I think the big factor here for what you're talking about is they don't have a Treylon Burks. They don't have a receiver to go to. So what made them so effective last year is they had so many different options running the football. KJ especially was a weapon running the football. And then they could find creative ways to get Treylon Burks the ball, who's kind of got that Debo in him. Was that type of a guy for Arkansas last year. Similar to what Alabama's dealing with. They don't really have any receivers. But the one thing that gives me a little bit of confidence is still that offensive line. Like, I'm really high on that offensive line. I keep saying it. Every time I talk about Arkansas, I love hyping up Ricky Stromberg. Best center in the country. Best center in the country.
It's not close.
He'll be a top 20 pick this upcoming year, barring, no injuries or anything like that. Really fun to watch. And like a good center in college football, you anchor the rest of the group. That offensive line doesn't have any other first round.
Reach passer.
100% though, is that they don't have any other first round picks. So you put Ricky Stromberg there. He's bringing up the quality of play of everybody around him. So that group as a unit is playing so well. Like I said earlier, Rocket Sanders, I think he had like 150 last game. I think if you get into a rhythm with him and KJ, and I know it's like you're saying, it's predictable. It's, it's a lot of zone read. You kind of get that sense of like, oh, KJ is going to get the ball on this drive and they're going to lean on Rocket on another drive. It's very predictable to know what they're going to do. But they're one of the few teams in the country that have the offensive line to say, we're going to do what you expect us to do and we're going to knock you and punch you in the face. Hopefully they come a little bit harder than they did against Missouri State.
Pause.
I knew you were going to say that.
But I agree. Listen, let me say this before we get to Joe Yancey. I hope I'm saying his last name right. You know how I am with names. I really apologize to Joe if I'm not. I'm staying away from that game. And here's the biggest reason why. You hit on this. I don't know if Arkansas is explosive enough on the outside for me to feel all warm and fuzzy outside or inside to say that it's a just end all be all they win. Now that game gets weird and freaky, okay, all the time. It took Arkansas everything they had a season ago to beat A&M. We'll see. All right, let's do this. Who's got an interesting game? Is this, and I don't, Joe's going to come in here and punch me in the face. Not this Joe, but our next guest, Joe Yancey. Is this game today between Missouri and Auburn? Who's the worst team or not the worst team in the SEC?
I think it's. Let's put a little more of a positive spin on it. The way that I look at it, this is the opportunity for Auburn to move in a different direction. It might be the nail in the coffin for Harsin.
I'm not picking Auburn. I'm not
right. He's
not,
on his deathbed. He might be done. Like this is execution game right here.
And look, I'll say this: Drinkowitz does not want to go anywhere. Okay, I'm going to pick Mizzou, but let's do this. Let's get to our next guest. Let's pay these bills very quickly. Let's talk about our good friends over at Gramco, thegramco.com. Guys, we return in 45 seconds with Joe Yancey. Let's talk Auburn and Mizzou. Guys, I've got to talk to you about our good friends over at Gramco. They are the Delta 8 company based out of the state of Florida. They're founded by college football junkies just like you and I am not sure if you're familiar with Delta 8, but you need to be. Gramco is the absolute leader in this field, and they have phenomenal products that I just need to tell you about. First off is the Wake and Bake coffee that is absolutely spectacular. The gummies are as well, as they're the best in the market. So go to thegramco.com right now and use the promo code AYS25. That's thegramco.com, AYS25 promo code to get 25% off of your order. Jump on this fast as it is perfect for holidays, anniversaries, and everyday use. Gramco is hemp-derived and completely legal inside of the state of Louisiana. No medical card is needed, and shipping is very discreet. You must be 21 years older to order. Again, that's thegramco.com. Use that promo code AYS25. All right, we are joined here by Joe Yancey. Now, Joe, I'm really bad at saying names. Did I get your name correct?
You nailed it.
Okay. So Missouri and Auburn kick off today. And look, I don't know. I'm going to let you just run with this one. Auburn seems like a complete and utter dumpster fire. I still think Missouri has a lot of fight in them with the fighting Eli Drinkowitzes. Start us off today, brother. What do you expect out of this game with Auburn struggling as bad as they have been to start the season?
Auburn really needs this victory. They actually probably need it more than Mizzou. We talked on Bleav in Mizzou. There's two core components, I think, of a great head coach, and one of them is recruiting. The other is obviously coaching the ball club and getting W's. So Drink is going to get a pass for a period of time because he's an exceptional recruiter. Doesn't mean they can never win a game, but also the expectations for them within the SEC aren't high. They're not a great football team. They're a team that slowly adds a lot of talented pieces. They have a lot of talent. On Auburn's side of the ball, and they got to win. They can't lose this game. I mean, and I don't know. They don't have to cover. I don't think they're going to cover. I think Mizzou covers 7.5. I think it's close. I think it's probably under. And I think it's most likely a lower scoring game. But Auburn, for his own sake of his career, I mean, he has to win this game. Auburn cannot sit in the basement at that program for that long. It's consistent. And you look at the last game each team played. I was actually at that ACU game. You can't just barely beat Abilene Christian on Mizzou's deal. Now, I understand it was 34-17. That game was closer than it looked. And there's a couple things there that are almost terrifying, like they could not sack the quarterback. Mizzou just isn't getting to the quarterback. Mm-hmm. Auburn, on the other hand, I know they played a much better team in Penn State, but you can't lose that bad. And one thing that was just almost insane, they had 400 and I think 15 or 20 total yards, and that just didn't result in many points. So what do I expect from the game? I expect Auburn to probably win by a narrow margin in a low-scoring, very uneventful game. But Mizzou can easily win this game. If Luther Burden, who is potentially the best, first-year wide receiver in college, or touted as such, if they get him the ball, a lot of great things are going to happen. If Brady Cook has time, yeah, he's the man. I mean, he's the guy. Like, if you guys remember J-Mac when they had Jamie Mack,
20 targets, right, Joe? I mean,
he has to, or get him involved in a wildcat. Like, they put him in a punt return, they put him on special teams. What happens? He goes to the house 78 yards. They give him a little flip on the outside edge, probably get you 5-6 yards. It's a touchdown. So every time they've been deliberate and intentional about getting him the football, which they weren't in the Kansas State game, a lot of great things happen. You also need this kid to touch the ball, feel comfortable, and show up so he doesn't transfer. because everybody and their brother would love to have that guy. I mean, he could have went wherever he wanted, right? He could have went to Bama. I mean, he was recruited by every school in the country. So if Luther touches the ball and Brady Cook gets time, they're good. But Mizzou on the defensive side of the ball is scary, in terms of the secondary just gives up tremendous chunks of yards. It happens all the time, and they can't get to the quarterback. And if is it Bigsby? If Tank gets off and running back for Auburn, it'll be a rough game for Mizzou.
Joe, I want to ask you this, to not backtrack, but to look back at the game, the ACU game that you pointed out. So Blake and I are both former FCS players, and we definitely give respect to these FCS programs. Sure. However, ACU is like a really rough team. Like they're trash. I mean, I hate to say it like that. They're really bad.
Did
you, Blake? Did you play against them or no? They're not.
No, we never played against them. They came. Actually, Southeastern played them after I left.
Okay.
But it was 49. It was 49-2 in the first half when Southeastern played them.
So, Joe, my question about ACU though is like, not a lot of eyes were on that game, admittedly, because you kind of expect that to be more of a blowout.
Yep.
What happened in that game, and like, what are maybe some of the concerns that come out of that game, because that was way closer than I think some people anticipated for Mizzou?
Yeah, I think there's a couple pieces. I was there with my son. And one of the things about that football game, obviously, besides not being able to get to the quarterback, they have significant just lapses in coverage. The secondary seemingly falls asleep. If Drink has them in man, they're not covering anybody. And when you take a step up in competition like Auburn, and then obviously the week after Georgia, you will get absolutely gashed. They just can't cover. They get to the quarterback, they just don't finish anything. They get the pressure, they don't sack anybody. Tyron Hopper, that came from Florida, is an absolute beast. So the linebackers, they're fine. But the defense, what will be concerning for me is, they could have scored more points. They probably should have scored more points. They were super conservative, on 4th and 1s, and even some really obvious passing plays. They were, it was very telegraphed. It was overly conservative. Drink was super safe. They probably should have scored 50. So the offense, a little bit concerning. The defense is what's concerning, because when you start playing and they go through Georgia and Florida and Arkansas and Tennessee, they're going to get just demolished. And if Mizzou wants to be taken seriously in the SEC, which they haven't in almost 8-9 years since they played Auburn in the SEC championship game in 2013, they're going to have to win games like that, because you set those up for cupcakes, because you're going to roll through this really difficult conference schedule. So I think they thought they would compete more in the K-State game. They didn't. Another concern about the ACU game is special teams has improved a little bit. The punt return was nice, but missed an extra point, missed 2 field goals, I want to say. Almost fumbled a punt. They're still just sloppy, and sloppy play isn't going to play well in the SEC. All respect to ACU. It's a D1 team, but still, it's not. Mizzou needs to beat them by like 50, and they did. So that's a little scary.
The only thing for me on Missouri's performance last week is I could still make the same argument for Arkansas, and we just did. Okay. Texas A&M loses to App State and then goes out there and beats a Power 5 ACC Miami. Sometimes, guys, you just got to walk out of that game with a win, right? Like sometimes the shit's not going to look good. It's not going to the box score is going to look like trash for whatever reason. And we all know why the reasons are. Well, let's not hash them out here. Sometimes you just got to walk away with a win. My question would be to the both of you, and Mr. Yancey, we'll start off with you. How deflated is Auburn? Like, meaning, I still feel like Missouri under Drink has a lot more fight than what Auburn does. My question would be, is how much fight do you guys think that Auburn has at this point? Because everybody's talking about Brian Harsin getting fired. I don't know if he makes it through the season. That means a lot to me. What says you guys?
I don't think there's a ton of fight there. And I think this game is, I think behind the curtain, most people think the game is probably more important than what it is. In the scheme, Auburn's not going to compete for an SEC title, no matter what happens in this game, in my opinion. But I do think it's going to be decisive on what his future career with the program looks like. We cut the cord. They lose this game. If they lose this game, they cut the cord tonight or in 6 weeks, I don't think it matters. I think this is decisive, though, and what that looks like moving forward. They're in football, and a lot of teams cannot look great in the SEC when they ramp up and start hitting the conference schedule because every week you're playing big boys. But, getting worked like that, Penn State's a good program, but so I do expect them to compete, but I'm not expecting a great showing. And I also think if this game if it's lost, I think he's in trouble. If it's close, probably okay and buy some time.
Yeah, I totally agree with Joe there. I think you can see from that game against Penn State that the fight is gone, and it all starts up front in a lot of these SEC games. Offensive, defensive line looks soft. Like they look like they didn't want to play. They look like they were getting punched in the mouth throughout that game, and that's a pretty good indicator that a team has quit on themselves. And I think at this point, like I was saying before you hopped in, Joe, I think the nail's in the coffin. Brian Harsin cannot rally his team. Those guys look like they don't care about the future of their head coach because they weren't brought in by him. And when you got a coach who's preaching at you and giving you a bunch of nonsense every week and it's not producing results, kind of like Shane Beamer likes to do.
And we got to get on
we got to talk about that later, Blake. I like that stuff. It means nothing to players, and it's frustrating. And then you're just at the point where like, okay, who's next? Or I'm getting in the transfer portal, which almost happened with Tank Bigsby. So that the problems continue to build up. And if Auburn maybe wins this by like a score or loses this game, I think that's enough to really push forward that Brian Harsin needs to be out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean this in a wrong way, but Auburn's getting what they deserve. You better not ever. And this is going on with the Boston Celtics right now, but let's see what happens with the Celtics and their head coach and things like that. Okay, consensual sex is consensual sex, and I'm just going to leave it there, okay? Bottom line is this. When you start saying a man's having an affair with his wife and it comes out that it's not even remotely true and the team starts falling apart, you deserve to get your cheeks clapped. Excuse me for saying that, but you deserve to get your cheeks clapped because this is a game, guys, at the end of the day. What you say about me and my wife, you deserve that. And Auburn, the reason Auburn's not having success is because they can't get out of their own damn way. Okay? Mm-hmm. Let the coach go in there and want to win. You know why kids aren't going there? Because you're already talking about in main recruiting cycles that you want to fire him, right? And so I think Drinkowitz pulls out something early. So let's see. Mr. Yancey, let everybody know where they can catch all of your content and everything that it is that you're doing and Bleav in Mizzou and all that great stuff.
Yeah, guys, if you want to keep up with me and Marcus Lucas is the co-host who played for Mizzou for years in that title game in the 2013 SEC championship game. Actually had 5 grabs, 50 yards, right behind DGB. You guys remember Dorial Griffin. Yeah. Marcus is with me every week. We do at least one. If we can get 2 in, we do. He's a youth coach, football coach down in South Carolina, and actually still owns a seafood restaurant up in Columbia, Missouri. So you can always check him out there. Yeah, crustaceans, really good. So Marcus is with me, riding shotgun every week. He's great. Dude is just full of statistics and insight and just handles it very well. We have a great thing going, so we'd love to see y'all come check it out. And then Truman's, plural, trumanstales.com is where you'll find my kind of routine weekly blog updates, recaps, ins and outs. And that's it, guys. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good luck to you. Good luck to the Tigers today. And Joe, I'm sure we'll have you on later on in the season. Thank you so much for joining us.
You bet, guys. Take care. Thank you.
All right. That's Joe Yancey that was joining us. Hey, Joe. Hey, DeLeone.
Yes.
DeLeone.
Yes.
Are you ready to go up north, way up yonder in the Chattahoochee?
But Blake, I love how quickly your demeanor and your energy changes when you know that the alcohol's coming. I love it. It's
what does that mean? Are you calling me a blithering alcoholic? What's going on?
No. That's not what I'm saying. But it's just funny how immediately
because don't get it twisted. I am.
I mean, I am too. But it's just really funny. You're like, oh, thank you, Joe, for coming on. I'm like, Joe, do you know what time it is?
Well, listen, I
told
told
you
on your face. Listen, if there's 2 foods that I could eat for the rest of my life, it's boiled crawfish, which outside of Louisiana and the Gulf Coast, a lot of people haven't tried boiled crawfish, a crawfish boil. Number 2, dog, I can destroy some PB&Js, though, dude.
And some screwball, apparently.
I do have a 3-year-old that's running around here. Yes. Okay. Like, one day. So listen, I was told that there's peanut butter whiskey, a bourbon, whatever. And then 9 months later, there was a little 3-year-old or a little baby running around. I mean, it's not my fault. Look,
it's all in the screwball.
I'm a full tilt diva. I like to pop, lock, and drop it. Do you hear me?
Oh, I hear you. I hear you.
All right, so let's do this. Let's get ready. Look, I mean, I forget who said it. D-Pain, who always loves me. Look what D-Pain said. I'm only here for Jenna. I'll be back when she's here. I mean, Jesus Christ.
We're not that interesting.
Guys.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, I don't blame him either. So let's do this. Let's talk about our good friends over at BetOnline.ag and our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons one more time. Let's get ready. We're going up to Chicago where the Glizzies. No, I'm not going to say it. All right, let's do this. Let's talk about BetOnline, guys. We return in a minute 30. Let's get drunk. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code Bleav50, that's Bleav50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varno & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varno & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. All right. I don't know what Joe's doing, Jenna. I have no idea.
I don't know what Joe's doing either.
Well, so I don't know how much you caught of the beginning part of it, but yes, Screwball has gotten me in more pickles than it has done great things for me. But I do have a little 3-year-old running around. I guess that's a good thing, right?
So let's put it this way. If another child is running around in, like, let's say, 10 months and it's a girl, I just think it's only fair that her name is Jenna.
We're expecting our second child on November the 2nd. So,
oh my God, that's like any day now.
Correct. And we still don't have names. If you would like to convince Megan that we should name her. And so look, so this is what happens.
Okay.
We don't find out what the baby's sex is or gender, whatever the PC term is these days. Okay. So we wait until birth. So that's what we did with Ben. So the doctor, okay, was, baby was coming, and the doctor was like, well, here he comes. I'm like, hey. My eyes got big. Here he comes. Who? What? And then here he comes out, and he's kicking and screaming, ah! And I'm like, ah! And so we both kind of like locked eyes, and my eyes are big, and I'm like freaking out. And then he starts crying, and then it's never really changed since then. So what can I
love
say?
That.
Screwball.
You can name, if it's a girl, you can name her Emma, and then you can have a total Ben and Emma like friends, like Ross and like Ross's kids. If you're a Friends fan.
I used to be a huge Friends fan. It's kind of started to fall down the totem pole for me, mainly due to like The Office. I'm a big Parks and Rec guy. I like to laugh. Don't get me wrong. Friends is funny. Friends is funny. I mean, what's taking Joe so long? I bet you he forgot his shit.
I wonder if he's running to the car right now to grab everything that he needs to grab, which would not surprise me, but let's put it this way. When he comes back and he's all in a tizzy, I think we need to like Just
Oh,
poke
I'm
holes
gonna
in it.
rag the shit out of
Yeah,
them. all.
no,
Yeah.
we absolutely need to.
All right, so let me ask you this question before Joe can get when Joe gets in here. I mean, his I don't even know what we'll get him. Okay.
There,
I'm a special kind of stupid. So the office that we have has like a dumb deadbolt on the door. So
you got
I was
locked out.
running to go get something, and then as I'm going to
Mhm.
get it, I realized, oh my God, I didn't flip the bolt. So I locked myself out, is what just happened. I don't know how long I was gone for.
I would like to say I'm surprised, but I'm not.
Yeah.
So how did you get back in? Did you break a window or something? Like, what did you do?
Thankfully the security guard was here because I don't have any of my keys or nothing on me. I had nothing. I was losing it.
Well, that would have been really bad. Jenna, I got to tell you this before we get started, and we're gonna let you roll here.
Okay.
I'm in love with peanut butter and jelly. Like me and PB&J are like Ross and speaking of friends, like Ross and what's her name?
Rachel.
Okay, but I gotta say this. Do you know how hard as hell it is to find raspberry tea in the state of Louisiana on a Friday afternoon?
I talk about Los Angeles. You know how hard that was to find? They don't sell it out here.
Well, excuse me.
You want to see the crap I had to buy? Look at what I bought.
I mean,
this is all they had.
I mean, Snapple's a solid staple. So if I drink tea, I normally like raspberry iced tea. So it's always, as you would say, on the other side of the Mason-Dixon line.
Chicago's different.
Chicago's different. We're just different people. But I didn't realize that was like a hard thing to find. I'm sorry, guys, for putting you through such the ringer, but I promise it'll be worth it.
It was literally in the front, and I couldn't find it at the grocery store. It was literally in the front. I'm like, I asked the lady, she's like, where's the raspberry tea? And she looks at me like I'm weird. Okay. And she's like, she points, and it's like literally right behind me. I felt like like the ultimate dad man moment. Okay, Jenna, let's roll. Get us drunk here. Tell us what we need to do.
So I would like to say that this drink was inspired from Joe, because last week when we made the lunchbox, he said it tasted like a PB&J, and my bartending brain was like, no, I'm actually going to make you a PB&J alcoholically. So Joe, thank you for the inspiration.
Oh, so cute.
I know, it's the tiniest little thing on the planet. That's what you said.
That's what she said.
Blake, I beat you to it. Okay. So God almighty, if now only this would open. I should have did this beforehand. This happens sometimes, guys. So you're going to take your peanut butter. Hold on.
There we go.
There we go.
I don't think I can get it.
As we learned last week, last time, don't chip your teeth again,
I know, right? That's, you got to get in the back. Okay. So you're going to take your tiny little bottle, or you're going to do 1.5 ounces. If you do not have a shot glass, that's going to be just like 1 finger, just in terms of your glass. Take some ice, add some ice in. All right. It's too much ice. Take your raspberry iced tea. Okay. Pour it on in. And then
I poured too much again. Sorry.
Shocker, Joe. I'm buying you a jigger for Christmas. I've already decided. And then you're just going to take some raspberries and put them on top for garnish. If you want to get really fancy, you can smash them so you have some natural raspberry flavors in it, but it's not necessary. And then that's your drinks. That's your drink, guys. You got a whiskey, little PB&J. So cheers and bottoms up, guys.
All right, bring us back in here, Zachy. Okay, so this is what mine looks like.
That looks beautiful.
I gotta use the red Solo cup though, Jenna, because our dishwasher and water's out at the current moment.
I love a solid red Solo cup moment. I just happen to have a bunch of glassware underneath me because we're filming on top of my bar right now. So
yes, indeed. Okay, so Joe, you ready? You ready to taste this?
Wait, I gotta
do this. All right,
I'm grabbing it. All right, I put my raspberries in.
Cheers, guys.
That's wow.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
This is a real PB&J. Wow.
It's a real PB&J, right?
Oh my
Jenna,
God.
you killed this one.
Yeah. And the best part about it is, like, Your taste buds are weird because you initially taste the raspberry on the front end, but then as it goes down, you taste the peanut butter. And the beauty of Screwball is it's so smooth that you don't realize how much alcohol is in there. So again, this is one of those like very dangerous drinks, like drink with a warning, or like Blake, you will have a child 9 months later. So just be careful. But it's delicious, right?
No idea what it was like for me last weekend. So listen. I must have drank like 5 of those. The
lunchbox.
The lunchbox, dude. By halftime, I was pop locking and dropping it right in front of the TV. Like I did the stanky leg 4 times when LSU scored. Like I was gone. Do you hear me?
I hear you, but I'm slightly offended that Joe and I and the people tuning in didn't get to see a video of you pop locking and dropping it.
You don't want to see this.
I would like to see that. I would like to see this. I would very much like to see this.
It's going to scar you for the rest of your life. I promise you.
Listen. I've seen some weird things in my young life as a bartender. Believe me, it takes a lot to surprise me now. So I don't think this would surprise me. I actually think this would put a smile on my face.
So let me ask you this, Jenna, and then we'll get you on out of here.
Fire away. You know I can hang out with you guys all day, though.
You can. I mean, you're more than welcome to. But let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears.
Yeah.
I mean, is this Aaron Rodgers, like what's going on with this thing with Aaron Rodgers and the Bears?
Well, I think Aaron Rodgers is, as we've always known, is like he's like that little dick of a kid, you know, like that's how I think of Aaron Rodgers. But the problem is like I don't hate him. Like I know as a Bears fan, I'm supposed to hate Aaron Rodgers. I think he's great. I think that Aaron Rodgers on Sunday night primetime is just a completely different animal than he normally is. And I also think that we're not going to go into Lambeau and win. And any Bears fan who honestly thought is slightly delusional or just really drunk off of a whiskey PB&J.
I've seen this all weekend. I will promise you that. Cheers.
Cheers.
This shit is delicious.
Fantastic.
It's delicious.
Joe's over here with a coffee cup. I mean, Joe. He's
yeah. I'm kind of bare bones over here. I am.
You gotta make work with what you have, Joe. You got to make work with what you have. No, but I think I'll say this, Blake, about the Bears. It's been the first time in my life as a Bears fan that I'm like realistically optimistic about the rebuild of this team. They're young. I'm okay with that. They still have a lot of pieces that they need to figure out, but I'm not expecting us to like win the North this year, but I am expecting progress, if that makes sense. And I've already seen a little bit of it. That might be a little
optimistic to.
I am a little optimistic, but I think that they're on the path. I don't think it's going to be like leaps and bounds by the end of the season, but I think that we're seeing little moments where it's like, okay, but then there are moments that they do stupid things and then you're like, God damn. And then you just like bury your head in the sand and you get mad. So, but again, if
you want to know how to conquer the North, you need to call Jon Snow.
That is fair.
By the way, are y'all Game of Thrones fans?
No.
I haven't gotten into it because I am a binge watcher that will stay up until 7 a.m. knowing I have a 9 o'clock meeting. I have no self-control.
Jenna, me and you're exact same. I don't watch things at night because I know if I watch it, like the Cobra Kai season.
Oh yeah.
Watch it in one day.
Yep.
I have a problem. I have a problem. Jenna, this is by far, if we're doing tiers of drinks, this by far is number 1 in my book.
Joe, I know you've had 2 of the drinks. Where does this rank?
I think this is. I would put this in the top. I really liked the tea one that we did. My only reason why I'm willing to bank on this one a little bit more because the other one was less ingredients. It was just tequila and tea, which I'm simple. I'll drink that. But no, this is fantastic. I think I would put it at the top.
Oh, it's only one more ingredient. What are you talking about?
It's raspberries. We're just adding raspberries and that's it.
What are you talking about?
It's not just whiskey. It's the peanut butter whiskey. It's a little bit more complicated. It's a slight difference, slightly more complicated.
It feels like this is the best part about being an adult, right? When you need to like tap back into that childlike sense of wonder that you had, you make this drink and you just like run around your house butt naked and then you're fine. And it's like totally acceptable.
I
don't know
don't
about that
think
second
anybody wants to see my big ass running around. But nevertheless, I mean,
you get what I'm saying, though. Just be a kid again drinking this.
You know what? And we talked about this last week. If all three of us are going to the national title game, I will probably run around buck-ass nude if it was LSU that won. Now, they're not going to, but I will make this bet right now. If LSU gets and wins the national title this year, I will run around the Bleav studio buck-ass nude.
Yeah, I'm going to say to that, Blake, in all my efforts to try and get you to come here, if you put that on the table, I think that all of that goes out the window.
So
happen. LSU's not going to win a natty.
I know. Well, but let's hope they don't.
I have a story
I'm ready to risk it all if they do this year, though. I'm ready to risk it all.
I have a story about being butt naked, not myself, but as a bartender. My cousin turned, I think he turned like 35, and they had a giant party at the bar for him, and all of his buddies were like, we will all equally give you $100 right now if you get on this bar butt naked. And he looked at his wife and she goes, drop your pants, get on the bar right now.
Hell
it was like $1,000 in money. It was like $1,000. And no, it was a lot of money. So I'm bartending and I had gone behind the back of the bar to grab something. And one of the customers is like, yeah, Jenna, I think you should just stay back there for like maybe 5 more minutes. Because it was my cousin. And I was like, there are just certain things that like I just don't need to see from my cousin. So again, Blake, I've seen some weird things at the bar.
All right, we do have one question, then we got to get you out of here and get to our good buddy Tye Richardson. But Cam Rogers, the man with the master plan.
I knew this was going to be a screwdriver question. Jesus Christ,
Jenna, on a scale of one screwdriver, how good is the drink?
I mean, it's okay. Like, I just think it's a basic drink, and there's nothing wrong with that. If I'm having orange juice in the morning, I'd rather have it with champagne. I would not want to have it.
What he's asking here is he's considering a screwdriver a 10 on the scale, and he's asking where this stacks up with it, because Cam drinks one drink when he goes out and when he goes to the airport, which I witnessed in person during the Super Bowl. He was ordering mostly screwdrivers, which props to you. If you find what you like, go for it. But we got to have a little diversity. But so that's what I think what he's asking here.
So he's asking me on a scale between this drink and a screwdriver, where does this one fall? Is that the question?
Yeah, between one and screwdriver. Yes, by far.
Yeah, I'm doing this, Cam. I'm doing this.
But I don't think Cam likes whiskey, if I were to guess.
You know what? None of us really like whiskey.
It's part of a brand.
Is there like a twist on a screwdriver we can make one week to make Cam happy?
Yeah, I'll do it. We'll do like a screwdriver with an upgrade. How about?
If you find a way to do an old fashioned and mix it in here, I will. I can't. Never mind.
No. Okay, so old fashions are my favorite drink. It's like right now that it's like
me and you have 50, so much in common.
We have so much in common. We really do. I will drink as many old fashions as I can. Even when I'm getting ready to fall down, I'm still going to have another one. That's kind of where my model is. But there's a certain way that you have to make it. So if we do it, there's like ingredients I want you to get, because you have to stir the drink. So here, like I got it right here. So I don't actually know what this guy is called, but when you take this and you stir it and then you pour it over a big ice cube, you're just like blending everything together.
It's a teaspoon. That's what it's called, a teaspoon.
Yeah. And then when you pour it over just like a nice big rocks glass, and we're going to do it with, this is where like you guys would have to put in a little bit of work, but I like to make Demerara syrup, which is just like a brown syrup. So it's more molassesy than like your regular simple syrup that's clear. Again, I know it sounds like a lot of work, but once you make that, it is the best old fashioned you'll ever have in your life.
All right. Jenna Dodson, the woman that gets me drunk every Saturday.
I'm just doing my job, Blake. I'm just doing my job.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again next week. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, that's Jenna Dodson joining us. Way down yonder on the Chattahoochee. Do you think Tye Richardson's going to sing that when he comes in? Because I know good and goddamn well he better come in here with this cowboy hat on, or I swear to God, I'm going to wrestle him down. I'm going to hog tie him. My name's Jimbo Fisher. Let's do this. Let's get to our good friend Carol Falls over at State Farm. My buddy, the man with the master plan, God, if he doesn't wear this cowboy hat, I swear to God, Joe, I'm going to freak
He
out.
might have taken it off. Uh-oh. He might have taken
He
it
better
off.
put that son of a bitch back on. I swear to God. Let's talk about our good friend Carol Falls over at State Farm. Tye Richardson, the GOAT, joins us in 45 seconds. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. Yes, he's wearing the cowboy hat.
Boys.
Tye freaking Richardson. I got to admit, this is like the most you have perfected a persona with the cowboy hat. How do you feel wearing a cowboy hat and it works so well? Please tell me.
Like a Viagra with the face, Blake. No, Joe kind of spoiled the surprise. I was going to take it off and then bring it back in, but that's all right.
It's my fault.
He
Oh,
said
you're good,
Viagra with a face. Oh, my God. All right.
Hopefully my parents aren't listening to this right now.
I hope they are. I hope that
They'd
they
be
are.
mortified by hearing that statement.
Tye, let me ask you this very quickly. I saw the post that you had. Did y'all go to Dallas and went to like a pizza place? Because that pizza y'all ate looked fantastic.
Yeah, we're doing our pregame show at KSP Henderson, and it's an awesome bar. Ryan and his team, not only do they whip up some dank drinks, but man, that pizza, and we had a barbecue chicken one too, in addition to the all meat one. It was fire, Blake and Joe.
All right, well, let's get into this game. Tye, look, I could see both sides. Let me ask you this question. Why do you think, and you cover this Arkansas team, but why do you think that Arkansas is not favored over Texas A&M as bad as A&M's look so far?
That's a great question. Maybe it's because the Texas A&M Aggies stiffen up in the red zone, and we've seen that through 3 games. They give up some yards, they give up rushing yards, but when teams get inside the red zone or close to scoring touchdowns, that Aggie defense steps up. And I don't know if they think they're going to do that against Arkansas. I don't know if if they think Jimbo's going to fire his team up after the loss last year and kind of rally them prior to Mississippi State and Alabama. I don't know how Vegas line setters do that. And I know they have tons of formulas, tons of analytics that goes into each and every game. You just look at Arkansas offensively and A&M offensively, it's not close. I don't understand it completely, but I kind of liked it because Arkansas feels still like, even as they're the higher ranked opponent, they still feel like an underdog this game. And I always feel like the Razorbacks play a lot better when they are an underdog, guys.
I'll kick it to Joe after this question, but what is your overall theme in this game? If Arkansas wins, they win because of X.
I think they just pound Texas A&M. Arkansas has shown through 3 games that it's very difficult to stop them running the football. And I know Texas A&M has some stout defensive linemen, linebackers, and secondary players, but I think Arkansas wants to kind of do away with what happened last week. They didn't have a bad game offensively. They just turned the ball over in some key critical situations. So to me, Arkansas wins this game, fill in the blank, if they dominate the line of scrimmage, and not just offensively, but their defensive line and linebackers getting to what we assume. I mean, I would be very, very surprised if A&M went away from Max Johnson today.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that, Tye. I think that Arkansas has a serious edge in terms of the ability to set the tone at the line. And we were talking about before you came in how important it is for Arkansas to have one of the best offensive lines in the country. They're anchored by Ricky Stromberg, who's so good. We can only talk so much about this Arkansas offensive line. Can you contextualize a little bit like the rest of the guys in that group? Because I feel like everyone knows about Ricky Stromberg. Like, what makes this team, this offensive line specifically, so good? Because I think that is the best unit on this team, and it's why they continue to look really good in games, and it keeps them in games maybe when the rest of the guys in the team are struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got a little friend that actually is joining me. This is Hochi.
Oh
Wait, what? Where'd he come from?
He's just on the ground, but Hochi would tell you.
Living the best bachelor life I've ever seen a bachelor live.
Yeah, this is my buddy's new dog, but he's the man. To your question, I think that Arkansas's offensive line is going to be up for the Joe Moore Award given to the best offensive line in all of college football. The reason the reason that unit is so solid is because it's not just Ricky Stromberg, but they have a combined over 100 starts amongst that group. And the only position they replaced last year was Myron Cunningham at left tackle. And now they got Luke Jones back there, who started his career at Notre Dame and then transferred to Arkansas. He's a kid that went to a very, very talented high school, Pulaski Academy, our rival in high school. But chill, Hochi. But
he wants to share his takes too.
Yeah, he wants his take too. But I think that's why, Joe, it's just the combination. When you work with someone for quite a period of time, you guys develop chemistry and you just know what each other's thinking. I think these guys know what to expect out of one another, and it's just a mentality thing. Sam Pittman challenged them before the South Carolina game. Dalton Wagner, their right tackle, told us about that, and they just road graded the Gamecocks. And that you'll see that a couple more times this year where defensive lines are just helpless to stop this unit.
I will call South Carolina the Cock Commanders until I die. It's gonna happen.
Great mascot.
Tye, is there anything that worries you for Arkansas in this game? Is there one big concern that you have?
I would say the turnovers that we saw last game, because we hadn't seen them to this point. I hope they shore that up. Defensively, it's Anaya Smith and Devon Achane. I mean, these guys are all-American, all-SEC caliber players, and you don't want them to get open when they're going out in pass routes. I'm not as worried about Achane or Smith running the football, but when they get matched up in key third down situations or Max Johnson is given more time than he usually gets, then I would say that's an issue for Arkansas because they don't have that lockdown cover corner to guard either of those guys.
Last question I got for you, Tye. We were talking about earlier the concerns with Arkansas's lack of playmakers in the passing game, and Traylon Burks is gone, and it seems like they're having some trouble trying to replace him. Who are some of the guys that people should get to know and familiarize themselves with in that receiver group? Because it seems like no one's really been introduced to any of these guys because no one's had like a crazy big game. It's been a lot of Rocket Sanders and a lot of KJ Jefferson.
Yeah, they've been the biggest keys thus far through the first 3 weeks offensively. But Matt Landers busted 100 yards last week. Jaden Hazelwood either has 2 or 3 touchdowns through 3 games. Those are probably 2 of the more notable guys. Warren Thompson, additionally, along with Keytron Jackson. You've also got Malik Hornsby, who occasionally comes in. They've got some guys that'll make plays here and there. What's going to be interesting, if A&M does stuff Arkansas running the football, can these guys get open in one-on-one coverage?
Right.
Can they get open and make plays and make that big play? It's one thing to do it against Missouri State, y'all, but it's another thing to do it against the Texas A&M Aggies. We're going to find out against probably the best defense they played all year if these wide receivers have truly, truly stepped up and filled that void that Burks left from last year.
Tye, last question for me. The only question I would have is this. I know A&M's offense is putrid, like literally really bad. What do you make of this statistic about Arkansas's pass defense? I know it's been made a lot of this week in reference to how many yards they're giving up. What do you take of all that?
I think that they aren't elite defensively covering the pass. I mean, any way you slice it, when you're last in the country, passing yards given up, you've got to figure that out. But what the point that's been made to me by my co-host is they have been up the majority of games and outside of Missouri State. So I guess the other two, and teams have had to pass on them to catch up. And when you're throwing the ball every down, you're going to give up more passing yards. But they also gave up a ton against Missouri State, and that was early on in the game. They get Miles Slusher back. He's the 4-star out of Broken Arrow, which is right near in kind of Tulsa, the Tulsa metro area. So he's going to be a key addition for them. They just got to figure it out, guys. And what they doing last year, they just rushed 3 and dropped 8. This year, they're blitzing a lot and they're putting their guys more. It's kind of a change because Barry Odom has a change in personnel and his strength to rely on getting to the quarterback. You're seeing kind of a different flow with this defense. That's what I would say. I think the addition of Slusher, and these guys are still trying to figure out with no Jalen Cattle on either. We saw what happened with just kind of without him the second 2 games. So that's another thing too, guys.
Tye Richardson, Tye Sports Radio on the Twitter machine, my buddy. We'll see you. Have a great day with your cowboy hat, looking like you're from Yellowstone.
All right.
Are you going to try out for Yellowstone? Are you going to try to be in the TV series or what?
I'm growing this hair out so I can be Casey Dunn Halloween weekend in Auburn, Alabama. We're going there for the Arkansas game, so it's probably going to get cut after that. But until then, it's going to keep.
You
keep
can't
flowing.
cut the hair, no matter what.
Yeah, that looks great, especially with the cowboy hat.
You can't do it. Ride with it, brother.
I feel like I'll be Samson if I cut the hair. All my radio and podcast strength will dissipate, so maybe I keep it.
Keep it. From one friend to another, keep it. I promise you.
All right, boys.
Buddy. Go have fun. We'll see you soon, bud.
All right, go Hogs. See you guys.
All right, that's Tye Richardson for Tye Sports Radio on Twitter. You can go follow him. We're supposed to be having Dominique Easley coming on. I don't see him with his camera on, so let's see if we can. There we go.
Oh, there he is.
Right, got it. All right, there he goes. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and bring him in. He's going to talk about Florida and Tennessee. Dominique, what's going on, man? How are we doing today?
How you doing, man? How's everything?
Doing good. I see former Super Bowl champion in the bio. You must really like this. Tell me about it, man. How's it feel to be a Super Bowl champ?
It's cool. It's an accomplishment. That's what
do you wear the ring everywhere? Be like, the honeys come around, be like, oh, this thing. Oh, what a Super Bowl, just what happened? Do you do that like what I would have?
Nah. I keep okay. It's locked up. It's locked up. People tend to touch it a little bit too much.
Now that's true.
Yeah,
that's very, very true. So let's talk about this Tennessee and Florida game. Look, Florida has absolutely ran this series, right? They've owned this series. Billy Napier in his first year. I guess when you look at this game today, going up to Knoxville, in the overall scheme of things, how do you see it happening?
In order for us to take it away, that defense is going to have to come through. That defense is going to have to come through. As we've seen, right, Tennessee been moving the ball, but I have a little argument against that. They haven't been to an SEC yet. They have not played an SEC game yet. They played balls. They played Akron. Like, they was blowing these teams out. They haven't had a challenge yet. They haven't had to play the whole 4 quarters. So that's going to be interesting to see. You know what I mean? And Florida's defense is going to have to come through. That beast on that D line, Brendan Cox, he's gonna have to slow him down. He's gonna have to beat that O line throughout that whole game, and we're gonna have to see if they're gonna be able to slow them down with that fast-paced offense.
Anthony Richardson has struggled a little bit out of the gate outside the Utah game. What have you assessed by his play?
There was big hype on him after the Utah game, but the one thing that we gotta see is some more throwing. Like, we're gonna have to see that arm. He's not gonna be able to last through the season running like that. As we can see, he has 0 touchdowns. 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Like, when Florida's just not gonna last if we're gonna keep doing that. And that's where that running game is gonna have to come through. That O-line, Florida O-line is gonna have to beat. It's gonna be an O-line, D-line game for sure.
I will say that, and being here in Louisiana, and then Joe, go next. But
yeah,
I feel like, guys, that's such a Billy Napier thing. Like, Billy showed that at UL, right? Like, that's not a – guys, I covered him the entire time he was there. That's exactly. Billy. And Billy's going to have to change that to win games in the SEC. Go ahead, Joe.
So I was going to ask, you guys have a really unique player on your defensive line, and Dominique being a former defensive tackle. I'm asking about Desmond Watson, who's massive. Like, there's not a lot of guys that are 400 pounds playing defensive line in college.
And that can move the way that he does, Joe. He can
Oh,
move
yeah.
a bit
Yeah,
now.
he can move. He
So-
can move.
I got two questions here with him. One, why do defensive linemen love wearing like running back numbers? Like the guy wears 21 and it just feels so odd because he's so big. And I'm used to, like, I played in college at the FCS level, and I just remember like the biggest guy always wore 99, but you got this guy wearing 21. He's fitting into that jersey very nicely. Why do defensive linemen just love to have those skill position numbers?
And I can contest to this because I wore number 2 coming out as well.
Right.
Yeah, you did. Florida is keen for defensive line wearing single or those numbers.
And just to throw that out there, just
Dominique,
to throw that
tell
out
me
there,
if I'm-
I was the
Go ahead.
first interior to put that single digit on.
Now, Dominique, to rudely interrupt you, because I'm rudely interrupting you, tell me that that's not a Florida thing. Because, Joe, when like LSU plays Florida, every week, if they wear a singleized number or not something not in the 90s, they're a beast. They're going to get drafted. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Dominique, is that like a thing for Florida?
It definitely is, and I'll say it started. We started seeing it with like the Carlos Dunlaps. You know,
Right. Number 8.
You just look faster. You know, that's what you want to look as a D lineman. You want to look faster. You want to look good. So we tend to want to be the running backs. You know, we tend to want to be the fast looking good guys.
I really hope that Watson gets some goal line carries. That would actually be fantastic if he did.
I'm pretty sure he is. If they smart, they would, because he can move. He can definitely move. He's a big cat. He can move.
So you think that they should put him in on offense? Like, you think that they should try and work him in some capacity?
I feel like they have to. You know what I mean?
Right, he's
Like,
so big. He takes up so much space. But so it's a more serious question. Like, watching him play, he's so strong. He's so powerful. There was a clip that went viral from the USF game where he's literally throwing a 5'8", 160-pound running back into the ground. When you're that big and you're that wide and you take up that much space, like, how much of a impact is it to have a guy playing in the middle of your defense that takes up that much space and eats up blocks?
So it's definitely a benefit to have somebody that big. Where Tennessee can use it against them is that offense. You know, like they're gonna he's gonna have to get in shape. Like Florida better been running him this week. You know what I mean? And he's gonna have to be able to move. So with a team like Tennessee, I don't see that as much being a benefit as it would Alabama, a running team, you know, a running style offense. So I think it's gonna help because he's gonna be able to clog up. But I hope they've been running.
The interesting thing is we talked about LSU versus Miss State last week, and I'm not saying that what Tennessee runs is the air raid, because they run the football a lot more than what Mike Leach does. Do you see Florida having to spread this out? Like, how would you attack? Because look, the things that have beaten Tennessee, and LSU did this to UCF when the program was there and that style was there with Josh Heupel. Do you see Tennessee just trying to keep everything in front of them? Because when you do that, that's where you win games. It's always just kind of more like containing versus trying to make plays. Do you think that would be a smart way of attacking them, since so many other people have had success doing that?
I think for Tennessee, because when you talk about rivalry, it's a different type of game. You know what I mean? Like, what they did last week is not going to matter. What they did this is not what they're doing this week. So for them, I think it'll be smart for them to spread them out, to spread Florida out, because Tennessee, they do have some weapons outside. Like we know what's his name, Cedric Tillman. He's not playing this week, unfortunately.
Yeah, Tillman's out.
Right,
He's out.
Jalen, what's his name? Jalen Wright, right?
Jalen Wright.
Yeah.
He's been doing his thing. So they're gonna have to use them wide receivers, because I feel like Florida's D line is strong. They're gonna come in strong, and to keep that in front of them in Knoxville, that don't ever work with us. You know, like it just doesn't. It just doesn't according to the rivalry. You know what I mean? So I think it's gonna be smart for them to spread it out in front of Florida. and air it out.
Dominique, is there something that worries you the most for Florida? Like, what's the biggest thing that worries you? Like, when you go into this game today, what is Dominique looking at to make, like, guys, this part of this game really worries me?
They're gonna have to slow them down. That fast-paced offense that they're gonna have to catch that first one quick. I kind of compare it. This is Florida, Tennessee. This year is just like when we played Texas A&M when they first came to the SEC when Johnny Manziel was there. We had to slow it because they was kicking our ass. Like if everybody look at it, they was kicking our ass until we slowed them down. Once we slowed them down, we controlled the game from in and out, from in to out.
So I got one question, and not to distract from talking about this game here. So Blake, I don't know if you know this, but Dominique's actually joining the Bleav in Gators show. He's going to be likely the co-host for the show. Dominique, I just want to ask you, like, how exciting is it for you that you're going to be covering your former team and that you get to talk about the team on the show every week?
I'm excited. I miss the culture. You know what I mean? Like I miss the Chucky culture. I miss the Florida culture. So I'm excited just
Did you
to
say Chucky culture like the doll?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I miss the culture. A brother of mine, he's down there. Sharif Floyd, he's coaching down there. So
That's right.
Yeah. I really miss just immersing myself in there, and now I'm able to do it on a communicative standpoint.
Do you still live in Florida? Are you like kind of local, or are you in a different state?
No, I'm in Georgia.
Okay, gotcha.
Dominique, so it's gonna be really fun. I did not know that, but it's gonna be really fun for you to cover your team. And my last question would be from me would be to you. What do you think the score is today in this Florida Tennessee matchup? I think we're losing him.
We made it so far.
All right.
I think we lost.
Yeah, let's text him and see, or get in touch with him. All right, let's see if we got him back. We got you, Dominique.
Yeah. I apologize.
Okay. What last question?
Oh, you're good.
What the score is today? All right.
We almost.
Yeah, we'll just have to text him and tell him that he froze up. Look, Joe, I don't know how you feel about this game. Okay, Florida has 1,000% owned this this series. I am not picking Florida to win. I can't do it. I don't know about you, but I took Tennessee in the money line. I think Florida keeps it close.
Oh, you bet on this game?
Yeah, I bet on this game. I put $10 on Tennessee. If the game was in Florida, I would have stayed away from it. But the simple fact it's in Knoxville, I think, because look, that fan base is yearning for them to be good.
Right.
But let's get Dominique. Let's see if we can bring him back in. Dominique, the last question I had for you, brother, is what do you think the final score is going to be in this game?
I honestly think it's going to be a close one. I can see it being a 24-17. I can see it being a 24-17.
I'm assuming you're picking Florida, correct?
Of course. Of course. No matter what. Got to. You feel me?
Love it.
All right. Tell everybody, Dominique, while we get you out of here, tell everybody where they can follow you, Twitter and all that great stuff.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Dominique Easley, and then Instagram, Easy91. Easy91 on Instagram.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much. Good luck. We'll bring you back on as the season goes on with the Gators.
Yep.
Florida,
Go Gators. Go Gators. Appreciate y'all.
All right. That's Dominique Easley joining us. Joe, let's start wrapping this thing up.
Yeah.
I'm taking Tennessee. Look, look, Hendon Hooker's too damn good for me. I get that his receiver's out, but I just can't do it. Now, I posted my bets for today, and look, as the first game's going to kick off. I know you're going to get mad at me on one of them, okay?
Oh, I saw it, and I almost commented, and I was like, it's not even it's justified. I almost did it. I almost did it too.
Well, the thing about me, so let me give my bets of the week, and we might want to do this, Joe, weekly. Like you come up with your line, I'll come up with my college line, and we just post it out there. I think that would be a good way of, like wrapping up the show. But I'm taking Michigan minus 17 over Maryland, Tennessee minus 350 on the money line against Florida. Dude, this is the biggest one for me of the day. I just don't think Notre Dame can outscore North Carolina, right? And it's the only reason I'm taking this game because North Carolina is minus 1.5. And they can score points, brother. They score points on everybody. Indiana plus 17 and App State minus 225 on the money line. I guess to wrap all this up, and we got to get to Shane Beamer, and we'll close it out with Shane Beamer.
Yes.
I guess what are your biggest games of the day, games that you're focusing on?
Yeah, so the ones I'm focusing on, the ones that I bet on, I almost took North Carolina too, and I didn't based on the premise of I can't. As a Notre Dame fan, I can't bet against my own team. I can't do it. As much as I love the bet, I can't do it. But the Oregon State hype is stupid. So I took USC minus 6.5. I took Arkansas.
What is that about?
Because every idiot and their buddies Oregon State's good. They're gonna cover, and everyone's been betting that line. And I think it was minus or plus 13 at one point. So everyone's been betting it so much. It's one of the highest bet teams of the weekend, including NFL games. So that line's completely inflated. I took Rutgers money line against Iowa.
I like that bet. I like that.
It's I didn't put that much money on it, but it's a total value play because it's plus 235 odds on Bet Online. I took Arkansas money line because I think it's ridiculous that they're not favored in that. Oregon against Washington State minus 6.5, and then the last one I took was Texas minus 6 against Texas Tech.
My sleeper pick of the week, and everybody ripped me alive.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go Jayhawks.
What was the line on that?
-7 this morning. It's minus 6.5. The Kansas freaking Jayhawks. The probably, and let me tell you this, what should be the next head coach of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, Lance Leipold, is just a dude. You hear me?
Oh, I love him.
If I'm Nebraska, I'm throwing the book at him. Now,
I should have shared this last week.
Let me tell you something about Kansas, though.
Yeah.
Look, we can make fun of Les Miles all we want to, and that's great. Les recruited his ass off, and Lance is reaping those benefits. They're getting a little bit serious. They know with the TV money, I have a buddy that works in that front office and administration at Kansas. Joe, they're getting serious, okay? And I will tell you this. Don't think Kansas has money. Don't for a second think that they won't spend money on a football coach if they're winning, because they
100%.
will.
100%.
Question is can Lance recruit? And look, he is he's hitting on all of these dudes. He's hitting on all of these 3 stars. It's insane.
Jalen Daniels looks really good too. He's kind of one of those guys that's not going to win the Heisman, but he's going to have a stupid statistical season because he's doing everything. He's running, he's throwing, he's doing all these crazy things for that offense. I'm so high on this Kansas team. I took him money line last week against Houston, and I hit that bet. It was plus 300 odds.
Hey, I did too. I didn't sit and tell anybody because I thought people would think I'm an idiot.
Well, I didn't tell anyone because I didn't want to jinx it. I was so high on that. I was like, oh, this is going to hit. I'm not going to say anything to anyone, and then I'm gonna brag the rest of the night.
Let's end the show with this. Now, South Carolina has Charlotte. Okay.
Yeah.
They're going to win. They're going to be fine. So I have been known to go on these Rufino's rants. Okay. What in the absolute F word are people bitching about with Shane Beamer? Now, let me say this. Shane Beamer's been in the news and them talking about Shane Beamer and all this craziness. But let me say this. Shane Beamer's got to know better. Okay. On the other side of this coin, his dad's been a head coach for a long time. He's got to know you can't go full Butch Jones, right? You can't say we're champions at heart and shit like that. When you say that and you lose, you're going to get ridiculed. But I'm a Shane Beamer fan. I don't get it.
I'm kind of out on Shane Beamer. So I was messaging you.
That's fine. And that's fine. But why are you ridiculing him when I mean, he's got to rebuild something there, though.
I understand that, and I'm not fully out on Shane Beamer, but I have been around coaches and I've witnessed other coaches do the whole coach speak thing where you make up the stats to make yourself look better. You like Scott Frost did this, is the most recent example where
literally 2 weeks ago, Scott Frost did it.
He was pointing out like, oh, we're just not finishing games, like we're not winning in the fourth quarter and like all that stuff, and like pointing out stats of like what their record would be if they were finished. I hate that bit. I absolutely hate that bit. And I think it is one of the most like defeatist, excuse-filled bits to do as a head coach. And it's total coach speak to be like, oh, well, if you look at this very specific stat, we're doing this, this, and this. If you're 11-2 or 10-2 in the fourth quarter, whatever it was that he said in this press conference, I had no problem with him like jawing with that one journalist after the Georgia game. That was justified. That was a stupid question to ask.
Very stupid.
Him to sit there and say, oh, we're 10-2 in the fourth quarter. Of course you're 10-2 in the fourth quarter when you're losing football games and teams are putting in their backups. That's what happens. When teams take their foot off the pedal, that is going to be the case. And I understand like it's not totally justified criticism, but I have witnessed and been around too many coaches who do the coach speak bullshit. It's pardon my language. And it means nothing. It's meaningless. Like it usually is an indicator that you don't really have a hold of your team. You're just saying things to say things to try and keep things positive or whatever. And you're trying to deflect from the fact that the results aren't showing up on the field. Like Nick Saban doesn't do that. Like Brian Kelly's never really done that. Lincoln Riley's never really done that. Like the best coaches in the country don't do that. It's always the ones that are struggling and are not producing results that are the ones who are making up these goofy stats and trying to rally that way.
Well, Jenna says it's TDE, tiny doc energy, and I agree. He's trying so hard, and I feel like for Shane, just because your daddy's been a head coach, he should have gone somewhere smaller first and then get to this position. Man, the SEC's are gone, and look, South Carolina, we rip on them all the time, but their fans are loyal as F.
Oh, they hate me.
Well, so why do they hate you?
Because I said their coach was bad. I in the plainest English possible, I just said bad coach, bad team. That was all I said in my tweet. And I had everybody funneling in telling me that they didn't care about my opinion.
Well, I mean, when you're on the, and I will brag on ourselves a little bit. When you have the following that we do, people are going to rag on you.
Yeah. I
come to the point where people think I get mad on Twitter when I debate and talk to these dudes. Guys, I'm never really mad.
Oh yeah, I was laughing it off. I was giggling like when I was responding to all these people. I'm like, this is hilarious that these people are so upset.
But here's the thing. And I said it the day that Spencer Rattler transferred to South Carolina. If you thought that Spencer Rattler was a good head coach, good quarterback, you're a dumbass. Okay. I get that he's an upgrade from what you had. And look, he is an upgrade.
Yes.
Okay. That's not how you sustain That's not how you sustain. You brought up Brian Kelly, and I'll just use this because, it's a team that we cover. You go get a Jane Daniels where you can like people were so far out on Jane Daniels and thinking Spencer Rattler could be a Heisman contender, and the opposite has happened here, right? The opposite has happened. My point is this: you've got to do unique things to rebuild your program. I've seen it at LSU, right? You got to be able to recruit. And look, this dancing and hop up out the bed, turn my swag on, head ass. You can't do that when you're getting the shit kicked out of you. You better get out there and ready to play. That's my thing with Shane Beamer. Okay, I defend him with the media part of it, but man, come on, bro. Like you got to get better too.
No, 100%. I had no problem with the way that he responded to that one journalist, but at the same time, when you're not producing results, you're making a lot of money as a head coach in the SEC. Like you are opening yourself up to criticism if you're not producing results and you're also doing weird things and making up these obnoxious statements and stats to try and justify your failures. Like you're going to be under a microscope, and the dumber the things that you say, the more criticism you're going to get. Like that, I had somebody say to me, like why, why are you be optimistic and rally his team? But I didn't see it as that. Like I saw him trying. I think I'm lagging a little bit.
We're losing you. We're losing you.
Yeah.
Joe, you there?
Yeah, I'm back. The internet's not cooperating with me at the end of this.
Well, it's probably a good sign that we just need to go ahead and call it a day. That's what I think.
Probably.
All right. Guys, let's go watch some damn football. Dude, I'm telling you, this drink's going to make me take my pants off. I'm just telling you. I mean,
please do it after the stream ends.
Who's to say that I'm not? See, here's the thing, Joe. No one knows if I have pants on right now. No one.
Yeah, if you stand up, but let's not test that.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all again next week. Y'all have a good day. Have a good Saturday watching college football. We'll see y'all soon. Y'all have a good night. Or have a good day. Peace out.